Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're looking at this really cool article from Northwestern University.
Yeah, this was a good one.
And it's all about how electronics could be getting a whole lot more, well, flexible.
Yeah, exactly. It's really blurring the lines between those hard electronics we're used to and softer, more flexible materials.
So no more like clunky phones and laptops, I'm guessing.
You got it. I mean, imagine electronics that are like as flexible as fabric or even our own bodies. This research is getting us closer to that.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. I'm definitely intrigued.
Right.
So, how does it actually work? The article mentions something called peptide amphiphiles.
Yeah, those are like tiny little building blocks and they can self-assemble. Pretty neat, huh?
Self-assemble, so they like build themselves.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And get this, scientists have already been using them in regenerative medicine,
Mhm.
helping to regrow tissues and stuff.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. But this research takes it in a totally new direction. What they did was they modified these peptide amphibols just a little bit with this special plastic called PVDF.
PVDF. Okay, now you're just using acronyms on me.
Sorry. It stands for polyvidylidene fluoride.
Okay. It's still not ringing a bell.
Well, think of it this way. You know those barbecue lighters that make a spark when you click them?
Oh, yeah.
That's piezoelectricity. That's what PVDF does. It can generate electricity when you squeeze or press it.
So does that mean like PVDF is already in electronics?
It is,
Yeah.
but you usually find it in things like speakers or sonar systems, not very flexible stuff.
I see, I see.
Yeah, so the real breakthrough here is that they combine the PVDF with those peptide amphiphiles.
Okay, and why is that such a big deal?
Well, it creates a material that's both soft and electrically active. That's like the holy grail of flexible electronics.
Ah, okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
And trust me, it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
I bet. I mean, we're talking about electronics that could be built into clothes, maybe even implanted in the body, right?
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
And there's so many potential applications we probably haven't even thought of yet.
Wow, okay, so this is already pretty mind-blowing, but there's another thing that really caught my eye in the article.
What's that?
The energy efficiency. It sounds almost too good to be true.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest parts about this new material. It uses this principle called ferroelectricity, which is basically the ability to switch its electrical polarity really easily.
It's like a light switch flipping on and off.
Yeah, you could think of it like that.
Interesting.
But it's even more nuanced than that because this material is, get this, it's multiaxial.
Multi-what,
Now,
Matt?
multiaxial, it means it can generate polarity in multiple directions.
Whoa, okay, that's a little hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah, think of it like a 3D light switch, not just on and off, but a whole range of settings.
Okay, I think I'm sort of following.
The main point is it takes incredibly low voltage to switch between these states, like way lower than anything we've seen before.
So we're talking about electronics that could run for like weeks on a single charge.
Potentially, yeah. It can revolutionize battery life, energy storage, the way we design electronics, pretty much everything.
This is really incredible. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm curious about how they actually make this stuff. Is it like super complicated?
It's actually surprisingly simple. You ready for this? They basically just add water.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. They add water, and those peptide amphiphiles, along with the PVDF, just self-assemble into the structure they need.
That's wild. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Just pour in some liquid and boom, new material.
Right. But it makes sense that when you think about it, nature uses self-assembly all the time.
Yeah.
Researchers are just, borrowing from nature's playbook.
This is absolutely fascinating. Okay, so now that we have a basic understanding of what this material is and how it works, I think it's time to really dive into the applications.
I'm with you. This is where it gets really exciting.
So let's talk about what this material can actually do in the real world.
All right, buckle up. It's funny. We're always talking about longer battery life, but we don't really think about what's happening, like, at the molecular level,
Yeah, that's true. As long as my phone lasts through the day, I'm happy.
Right. But that's what's so cool about this material. The way it saves energy is totally different.
Okay, so remind me again, how does it work? You said something about ferroelectricity and dipoles.
Right. So think about a normal battery. It stores energy by separating positive and negative charges. And those charges, they're the dipoles.
Gotcha.
But the problem is, in most materials, those dipoles are kind of stuck. They need a lot of energy to flip and release the energy they're storing.
So like they're stuck in place and you need to give them a big push to get them moving.
Exactly. But in this new material, the dipoles are super responsive. They flip really easily with just a tiny bit of voltage. It's like macking them on little springs, bouncing back and forth super easily.
Oh, okay. I like that analogy.
Yeah, so it's not just that the material is efficient, it's that the whole way it stores and releases energy is different, more efficient.
So basically, we're getting way more bang for our buck energy-wise.
You got it.
So what does that mean for things like wearables? I feel like those are always the first things to die on me.
Totally. I mean, imagine a fitness tracker that could last for weeks without needing a recharge, or smart clothes that adjust to your body temperature, all powered by a tiny flexible battery that you never have to worry about.
Okay, now that is seriously cool. We're not just talking about like small improvements here. This could be huge.
Yeah, it's a total paradigm shift. And it's not just wearables either. Think about the possibilities for soft robotics or medical implants. We could even use it for large-scale energy storage.
It's like this material could impact almost every part of our lives.
And it's all thanks to those tiny little dipoles flipping back and forth.
This is seriously mind-blowing. It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of technology.
It really feels that way, doesn't it?
It does. But before we get too carried away with all the future possibilities, let's bring it back down to Earth for a second.
Yeah.
We've talked about the potential, but are there any specific applications that researchers are working on right now?
One area that's really promising is smart fabrics. Like imagine clothes that could track your heartbeat and breathing, or even adjust to the temperature. Could you imagine?
That sounds pretty amazing, but how would that even work? Are we talking about like weaving circuits into the fabric or something?
It's actually even cooler than that. Remember those self-assembling molecules we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, researchers are figuring out how to put them right into the fabric fibers themselves.
So the fabric itself would be like the electronic device.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because this material is so flexible and safe for the body, you wouldn't even notice it. Totally comfortable clothes that can do all sorts of things.
I can see this being huge for athletes, being able to track their performance in real time, or even for people with health conditions, constantly monitoring their vitals.
Absolutely. And then there are medical implants.
Oh yeah, we touched on that earlier, like pacemakers and things like that.
Right. But with this new material, we could take those implants to a whole new level.
Like what kind of implants are we talking about?
Well, imagine a brain-computer interface that feels totally natural, like it's part of your own body, that could allow you to control devices with your mind. Or super sensitive sensors that keep tabs on your organs and even deliver medications right where they're needed.
Wow, okay, we're getting into some serious sci-fi territory now.
I know, right? It's pretty wild.
But what about those implants? We talked about how this material can biodegrade, so wouldn't those implants just disappear inside the body?
You're right, and that's actually one of the best things about it. Sometimes you want an implant to just dissolve away when it's done its job.
So you wouldn't need another surgery to take it out.
Exactly. But if you need an implant that lasts longer, researchers are also working on ways to control how fast it breaks down, or even make implants that can be easily taken out when you don't need them anymore.
So they've really thought of everything, huh?
Pretty much.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of medical stuff, but what about applications outside of healthcare?
Oh, there are tons. Soft robotics is a big one. Imagine robots made from flexible, adaptable materials.
Yeah, they could move around in tricky places and even interact with people safely.
Exactly. Like search and rescue robots that can get into collapsed buildings, or even help with delicate surgeries.
Amazing. Okay, what else?
And remember how we talked about energy storage? Well, this material could completely change the game with flexible batteries and supercapacitors that can be built right into clothes, cars, even buildings.
Wow, we've gone from talking about tiny little molecules to potentially changing entire industries. It's incredible.
It really is, and it just goes to show you the power of scientific research. Sometimes the smallest discoveries lead to the biggest breakthroughs.
Well, I have to say, this deep dive has completely changed the way I think about electronics. It's not just about clunky gadgets anymore.
It's about a future where technology seamlessly integrates with our lives, making things better, easier, and more sustainable.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited to see where it all goes from here.
Me too. Who knows
Well,
what other amazing discoveries are just around the corner?
That's the beauty of science, right? Always pushing the boundaries and exploring the unknown.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of soft electronics. It's been a wild ride.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.